Let's talk about area addition. So area addition, we've talked about a bunch of different type of addition types of things, like segment addition was the smaller pieces add up to the whole thing. Angle addition was the smaller angles add up to the whole angle, okay? Now we're talking about area addition. Well, area addition is once again the same thing, is if I have a bunch of little pieces that I can find the area of, the area of all the little pieces added together gives me the area of the whole thing. And, it talks about, the area of a region is the sum of the areas of the non-overlapping parts. Basically, just think of it as, hey, let me break this into smaller pieces. If I find the area of each small piece and add them all together, it gives me the area of the whole thing. And this is important when we want to find areas of things that are not shapes that we have area formulas for. For example, when I look at this particular example, we did this one previously. So when we kind of look at this thing, I could break this down into a bunch of little blocks, okay? But I don't have a formula for the area of a staircase. That's not in my arsenal of area formulas. And so I have to break this into shapes that I know. And so when I break it into little blocks, if I look at each of these little blocks, like this block, it's a 4-inch by 4-inch square. And I know how to find the area of a square, right? The area of a square is base times height, so it's just 4 times 4, okay? So the area of that particular square is 16 square inches, all right? And so that's just this little square right here is 16 square inches. But what about this little square right here? Well, that one's also 4 inches by 4 inches, so that's also 16 inches. And this one is also 16 square inches, and this one, and this one. So each of these little squares is 16 square inches. So the area of the whole thing is just all of those added together, okay? And once again, there are 6 of them, so I could do 16 6 times and add them all together, or you could just do 16 times 6 is the kind of the shortcut that you can do on here, all right? But I add all these together, so now the area of the whole thing is 96 square inches. Okay? It's all about breaking this into pieces that we understand, pieces that we have the formula for, and then using the smaller pieces to add up to the whole thing. Okay? If I look at something like this guy, once again, we're going to break this into pieces. I don't have an area formula for generic house shape, all right? When you draw a house when you were a kid, right? You made like a square with a little triangle on top of it. I have to find the area of the triangle and the square separately. And so if I just kind of draw a line across here, let's find the area of these two things separately. I say, hey, you know what? I can find the area of that triangle. So I'm going to say area, and I'm going to put a little triangle here so I know which area I'm talking about. Well, that's 1/2 the base times the height. Well, I can see the height of that triangle right here. It's off to the side. The height of that triangle is 8 feet. That's how tall it is. So the base of that triangle, well, that goes kind of back to this guy over here. I've created a square down here. And so the square, that means every side of this square is 6 feet. Every side is the same. So that's also the base of my triangle. You could always draw these separately, that kind of stuff. So 1/2 the base times the height. And so the area of the triangle here, when I multiply this out, that's a 24. But now I also need to do the area of the square. So again, I'm just going to use a little square for the area there. And so the area of the square is just base times the height. The base this time is a 6. The height is also a 6. So the area of the square is 36. And so now if the area of the triangle is 24 and the area of the square is 36, I add them together. So it gives me the area of the whole thing now is going to be a 60. And that's square feet. Okay? So I find the area of each of the little pieces and then use that to find the area of the whole thing.